Good morning, Nigeria, and I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike, and let's kickstart today. A very interesting day it is. A day to be happy that we are truly alive. Welcome to the show. We'll start with our newspapers, and right after that will be in conversation. Also for today, do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I'm very so honored to have with me, joining me via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria. I'd love to believe it's Mr. Eko John Nicholas. He is the National Coordinator, Food and Farmers' Right Campaigns, which is called the FFRC, and equally a Coordinator Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Right, Ogun State Chapter, NEC member, Democratic Socialist Movement, DSM. Thank you so very much, Mr. Nicholas, for being here.
Good morning, Mr. Henry.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
All right. Thank you so very much for your time. We truly do appreciate you.
It's my pleasure, sir.
All right. Beautiful. Now, let's kickstart today with the first newspapers on our desk. And this coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Very interesting stories here, even if most of them really are not good enough, actually. We have dozens of school girls abducted in Kebbi. And equally on the top strip, we have federal government inches towards inflation target. Taraba Speaker 15 PDP lawmakers defect to the APC and make justice affordable, accessible to the poor, Tinubu tells judges. Gunmen kill brigade commander in Borno. And we have other growing interest. 2 children die as fire guts building in rivers, while Cameroon opposition candidate declares self president-elect. Mr. Nicholas, I'd love us to start with the very sad situation we have somewhere in Kebbi State. Dozens of schoolgirls abducted in Kebbi. Is this another version of Bring Back Our Girls Season 2? Or what exactly is happening here? Speak to me.
Yes, I think that the Kebbi State incident is a very tragic one. And of course, it happened in Maga, in a local government called Dangu local government, where about 25 school girls have just been adopted, and the vice principal killed in the operation. I think it's a very sad one. And our heart go out to the family of the principal that was killed. I think it has again, highlights the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, in the couple of days now, weeks, we've been debating the Trump threat from America on the basis of the insecurity in Nigeria. And one would have expected that the federal government would have done the needful. But sadly enough, they have not done anything about it. And what we hear from the federal government is to continue to issue press statements, plaintively complaining and condoling with the families of those that have been adopted, those that have been killed, and things like that. I think that enough is enough. We cannot continue this way. And of course, it's not unexpected with the kind of system we are running and with the kind of corruption within the system. You can't expect anything less. And that is the situation we find ourselves. And we want to say it here clearly, that the federal government and the Kebbi State government owe it to Nigerians to ensure that those girls are, reunited, they are rescued and they are reunited with their family. It's not just the girls alone. In the last 4 days now, over 145 people have been adopted in Kebbi State, in Niger State, and in Zamfara State. And that is alarming. And the trend has continued. I think that we cannot, as I said, we can't continue this way. Something has to give. And it's time the mass of Nigerian people begin to mobilize and organize themselves, consciously, to begin to demand that enough of this insecurity in the country. And as socialists and as Marxists, we are advocating that there is a need for a non-sectarian, a multi-ethnic defense committee that is democratically managed within community, and if need be, for them to be armed to begin to defend themselves against banditry, against kidnapping, and against insurgency from all these Islamic, terrorists and things like that. And that is what we are advocating. It has to stop. And the Nigerian masses have to begin to demand that. And people should begin to form that kind of a multi-ethnic and non-sectarian and non-religious defense committee in their various community to begin to ward off all these terrorists, bandits, and insurgents.
It's very well said. It's actually very so alarming. And a couple of days back, we learned that a brigadier general was abducted in Borno and killed also. And while all of this happened, I do not know what the federal government is doing about this. And remember, the country of particular concern is still rested on us as a country in Nigeria. That's actually very sad. But Mr. Nicholas, I'd love us to take to other matters of interest. This is your area of forte, and it's coming from the Guardian newspaper this morning. Declining food prices. Farmer Naira pull inflation to 15% national target. And we have it that even if it is stated that food inflation is actually coming down a bit, but Nigerians cannot feel it. So I'd love you to talk to me. This is your area of forte. You understand this better than any other person. What do you think is happening exactly? Talk to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The point is this: beyond the official statistics that is being bandied around, that inflation, food inflation is reducing, the concrete reality is that the mass of the Nigerian workers and poor people are not feeling it. They go to bed on empty stomach. And why is that so? It's simply because the government has failed to invest in agriculture massively with a view of guaranteeing food security and eliminating hunger in Nigeria. It will interest you to know that as we speak presently, there is starvation everywhere. There is hunger. So when government tells you that food inflation is reducing, it's sheer data. The reality, as I said, is that people can't feed. And it cannot be otherwise. The anti-poor policy, the poor capitalist policies of this government has ensured that food has been taken away from the table of the mass of Nigerian people. That is why we insist that the removal of fuel subsidy has to be reversed. And the Naira devaluation must also be reversed. And all the tariff, including electricity that has been increased, must be brought down. And that is because when all these things are not done, there will be no food on the table. I'm a farmer, a practicing farmer at that, not a political farmer. As we speak presently, why they are saying that the food price has gone down, let's even say for the purpose of argument that it's true that food prices have gone down, which is not. The point is that with the present level of poor income at the disposal of the mass of the poor people, they can still buy this food item. Staple food, a bag of rice is still over 70,000 naira. And that is over the minimum, the national minimum wage. School fees is still on the rise. House rent is on the rise. Transportation is on the rise. All this brought together has meant that the cost of living crisis continue to worsen in the country. And that is why we are demanding that there is a need to do away with all the anti-poor policies of this government and the previous one that has been, implemented by all the past government. And there must be massive investment in agriculture. When I mean massive investment in agriculture, I mean that there is a need to revamp all the abandoned farm settlements. And there is need to build more farm settlement, establish more farm settlement, and employ people to begin to produce food for people to eat. The reason why this food crisis will continue is this, sir. Agriculture is not just a science. Agriculture is not just about profit. It's not just about economy. Agriculture is social. And food security is at the heart of agriculture. And that is why you see that serious-minded country, they prioritize investment in agriculture with a view to guaranteeing food security and putting food on the table of their citizenry. But in Nigeria, the opposite is the case. Because why? Agriculture is presently run on the basis of profit as against the needs of the mass majority of the people. And when you run agriculture for profit as business, and you don't run it as a social sector, this anomaly we are witnessing here now in Nigeria as of today is the necessary consequences of that failure. And that is why there is need, as I said, there must be massive investment in agriculture. Government need to invest massively, both federal, state, and local government. Is it not a paradox that Nigeria, with fertile millions of arable hectares of land, is still unable to feed itself? There is no part of Nigeria you are going to plant today that the seed will not germinate. And yet, we import stable food from other countries that are not as naturally endowed agriculture-wise like Nigeria. And that is why we are advocating as socialists that to guarantee food security on permanent basis, there is a need for political alternative. The present system we run that is dominated by all these money-backed parties that are meant to guarantee the profit of a few cannot guarantee food for the mass of the people. Therefore, workers, farmers, artisans, market women, they need to have their party on the basis of socialist program that will meet the needs of the people, both food, education, etc., as against the profit motivation of the present capitalist system we run today.
Within the corridor of power would be listening now, because when you ask them, they will differ on lots of things. They will bring statistics and data to prove that the economy is doing well. But I would love to still ask you, what are those salient policies that you think the government can put in place? Is it to open up our borders so that we can have influx of food into the country to feed over 200 million people, or to make it possible for farmers to go back to the farm? Remember, the president just launched about 2,000 tractors for farmers, and till today none of those tractors have gotten to the farmers. So is this a deliberate action of Tinubu-led administration to go on a particular agenda that Nigerians do not know about, or is it carelessness and mistakes that he needs to correct?
Yes, it's not just about carelessness. It's not just about sensitivity. It's systemic. As I have said, it is the capitalist system that is run, that is responsible for all this, breakdown we are having. food insecurity, insecurity of life and property. I mean, name them. It is that system that gave rise to it. You have just mentioned the 2000 Belarusian tractor that were brought in. Up till now, those tractors have not been given, to farmers. And it's over 3 or 4 months now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, very well.
That they launch all those tractors with fanfare. Yet, those tractors they are not in the farm. The plows are not in the farm. What is responsible? And that is because, as I said, they see agriculture as business, not as social service. Those tractors now, before you know, they will end up in the hands of political farmers, armchair farmers. It will not get to the male farmers, the ordinary farmers that need those tractors. They will share it among themselves. They will put it in their various compounds. And those of them that will be sincere enough, they will begin to rent it out to farmers at exorbitant prices that poor farmers like myself cannot afford to rent. Yes, insecurity is a contributor to the food crisis we are having presently. But that in itself is also a corollary of the government failure, of the implementation of anti-poor policies of the government, the exploitation of the capitalist government over the years. You just asked, should we open the border? Yes, in a way. Of course, we have seen government involving in protectionism, in a protectionist policy of some trying to close border with a view of trying to encourage local production and things like that. But the point is this: in Nigeria presently, as of today, what we are producing is not enough to feed the teeming population that are hungry. Another basis, we have to open the border side by side with massive investment in agriculture, and also tackling also tackling insecurity in the north and also within the southern part of the country. As you are aware, Benue State, that is popularly referred to as the food basket of the nation, has witnessed carnage of recent, where people are being sacked from their ancestral land, they are being sacked from their farm, then farmers had their clashes, and all these things as a result of, as I have said, of exploitation by this system. The farmers had their clashes. What is responsible? It is happening because the lecture, the source of water, source of fodder are no longer available. They are shrinking. Land that were pasture land, that animal could graze on openly in the past, those things are no longer there as a result of desertification. And the lecture too is shrinking. And the money that are meant for restitution in Lake Chad, in reforestation, in order to stem the harmful effects of desertification, they have embezzled all this money. They are not investing it. And people are forced to begin to move their cow from one place to another. And in the process, they graze on people's land. The another second angle to that is this, sir. It is cheaper to graze animal openly than putting them in a place in form of a ranch to begin to feed them exclusively. The billionaire politicians and businessmen that dominated this cattle business, mind you, sir, majority of the Hausa Fulani people you see that carry stick, grazing cattle, they are not the owner of those cattle. So most of those cattle are owned by people across the country, across tribe. It's not about Fulani alone. To have people from the east, from the south, from the central who owns those cows. It is those elements who arm all these boys and ensure that they graze people's land and things like that. And that is why we are having all these crises. And again, The issue of ranch now, nobody's talking about it. And that's why the Food and Farmers' Rights Campaign, we're advocating that there is a need for government to build ranches. Then you can now be giving it out for a fee to the big billionaire cattle farmers. While for the ordinary cattle farmers that had 1 or 2, 3 heads, you can revamp, the farm settlement, and bring them in with provision of amenity, schools, healthcare, veterinary services. You put everything in place and run it in a way that these people will have a sense of belonging, so that they will be liberated and get civilized from their barbarism of moving from cattle from one place to another as nomadic. They should be settled. And it has been stated that those cattle that goes about, the output is always very low in terms of milk production. As we speak today, sir, Nigeria is deficit in milk production. We are not producing enough milk for us to satisfy our population. And yet, we are one of the best in Africa that has millions of cattle, billions of heads of cattle. And yet, milk is a problem. Hide and ski, what is known as pomo, is also another level to it. Nigeria is one of the best. Nigeria hide and ski is one of the best in the world. At the peak of Nigeria hide and ski industry, over 80 industries were established in Nigeria, and they have branches in Spain and in Italy to process hide and ski. Today, those things are no longer there. We import leather finished leather in form of shoe, belt from abroad. If all those areas are properly harnessed, you can be sure that employment will become a thing of the past. If not a thing of the past, it will be tremendously reduced. And all this issue of banditry, issue of kidnapping, issue of terrorism would have been half solved. But with this our leadership, this crop of leadership, will they do it? They will not, because they profit by the system as it is presently. And that is why we are saying it should not be allowed to continue.
We would go on and on this particular matter, especially with our main conversation, and which I would still love you to speak some more on some of them, because of course it interconnects, it intertwines, together, and that is when we return. U.S. Congress opens full-scale investigation into alleged Christian persecution and rising violence in Nigeria. In a bit, still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so very much for being back, and if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our main conversation for today. The United States House Subcommittee on Africa is set to hold a public hearing on November 22, 2025 to review President Donald Trump's redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC, over alleged Christian persecution. The hearing, chaired by Rep. Chris Smith, will feature senior U.S. State Department officials and the Nigerian religious leaders, including Bishop WILFRED ANAGBE. The CPC designation now before the U.S. Senate could pave the way for sanctions, restricted assistance, and stronger U.S. intervention if Nigeria is found to be failing in protecting religious freedom. Trump's move has intensified debate after he claimed Christianity faces an existential threat in Nigeria, even threatening to halt the U.S. aid or deploy military force if the killings is allegedly targeting Christian continues. While President Bola Ahmed Tinubu rejected Trump's claim as a misrepresentation of Nigeria's religious reality, several U.S. lawmakers insisted that persecution is severe, citing blasphemy laws and disproportionate killings of Christians compared to other groups. Now let's get talking. I still have Mr. John Eko with me. Thank you so very much, Mr. Nicholas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I would love to have your say, just before we get into other things that connect this CPC designation of Nigeria Christian genocide. What's your take? Just give me a bird's eye view of what you think about what the United States had labeled against Nigeria.
Well, I think that first is to say that every life in Nigeria matters. Whether it's Christian, whether it's Muslim, life should be valued. But the reverse is the case presently in Nigeria, where people are being killed, whether by bandits, terrorists, insurgency, while people also died as a result of poor health care, poor road, just name them. Nigerians, workers and the poor people are dying every day. And that is because our system has failed. But be that as it may, we want to say, without any equivocation, that we reject President Tinubu's hollow nationalistic talks, which is meant to begin to rally the mass of people, against the U.S. And we also equally reject the U.S. attempt or plan to intervene in Nigeria militarily. We are against it. Instead, we demand that Nigeria internal security problem can only be resolved by the working class and the poor people. And it's on that basis we have demanded that in each community there should be a non-sectarian, non-religious, multi-ethnic defense committee that is democratically managed by the people themselves. And if need be, they should be armed to begin to repel all these terrorists, bandits, and insurgents from our country. And that is because the U.S. in its motive is not being altruistic in its motive. Of course, as you know, it is just trying to play to the evangelical group, Christian group in the U.S., trying to impress them and things like that. Why we admit, and which is a fact, that there are killings in Nigeria. It's not just about Christian. Yes, to some extent, the Christian might be in preponderance as against other killing. But the point is that it is the pro-capitalist policies of past government and this present government that is responsible for all these killings. Tinubu is trying to use, his nationalistic, a patriotic call for patriotism and things like that, to use it to distract people, to distract the mass of Nigerian workers and poor people from the deleterious effect of its anti-poor capitalist policies, as I said earlier, including fuel subsidy removal, naira devaluation, increment in tax, hike in school, healthcare in disarray, and all those things. He's just trying to use it to deflate attention from himself, from the failure, the monumental failure of its government. We reject that. And we insist that it's not just enough to begin to push back at Trump. Why they are pushing back at Trump, as we have just said now, over 145 people have been adopted by bandits, by insurgents, by terrorists, and people are being killed. What have they done between that time till now? So what is required is that the mass of Nigeria people need to consciously organize and mobilize themselves for a movement to begin to demand from our leader that the needful need to be done, that we are tired of losing our life, either to bandits, either to terrorists, to bad roads, to poor health system, to poor infrastructure, to poor housing. We must demand that government begin to invest massively in all these areas. The people that are being recruited into all this group, how do they get their recruits? And that is because in the north, over 18 million children are out of school. What does that mean? It means that all those children that are out of school, they are already made material to be recruited by all those bandits, terrorists, and insurgents. As our leaders build schools to absorb all these children, put all of them in school, and begin to de-radicalize some of those people that are being, fed with false ideology, it's not about military intervention by the U.S. Even if U.S. intervene today, as long as the material, concrete reality that has given birth to the rise of all this insurgency, banditry, and the like remains, nothing is going to change.
Yes, very well said. Nothing is going to change. But the question is, how much of vigilante or recruiting them would help the situation?
Hello, sir. Can you please? You are not audible.
Okay. Yes.
I can't hear you very well.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right,
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So my question is, how much of being involved as citizens can we do when we face issues of complicity? Remember the brigadier general that was killed just yesterday. No one would, of course, be comfortable knowing that he was killed as a result of information that was given to the bandits. So how can we better protect ourselves when there is a massive infiltration of the bad guys in our security architecture? Remember, in this administration, Mr. Nicholas, there are those that have been fingered to be terrorist sponsors and sympathizers working with this administration of President Bola Tinubu. I wouldn't want to mention names for the sake of defamation, but they are there and we all know who they are. So how do you think this government can save the situation where people working with the administration have been fingered to have sponsored or sympathized with terrorists and insurgents?
Thank you very much. This administration cannot do anything because they are also culpable. They are culpable. You have just said it. Are they not aware of the sponsors of all these people? Is it not people that are taking pictures, negotiating with the terrorists, with the bandits? Is it not people that will carry ransom and go and give those terrorists, interfacing between the insurgent bandits, kidnappers, and those people that have been kidnapped? Are they not in Nigeria? Are we not aware? Don't we know them? What has the government done about it? You have just said it. Information is being leaked to those terrorists and those bandits. Why will information not be leaked? As we speak today, sir, the corruption in the security architecture, in the security formation, is stinking to the high heavens. The ordinary soldiers, the cannon folders that have been on the ground trying to fight this insurgency with bare hands are not giving arms. The money that are meant for those arms are being siphoned by our leaders. Of course, when the secret of the coup was released, before when the military was denying, they said that it was disgruntled military officers who, as a result of their grouse, due to no promotion, no payment of some allowances and things like that, they are the one that got involved in all this bad behavior, quote unquote. What does that tell you? It tells you that there is a lot of misgivings, there is a lot of grievances within the military formation that these leaders did, that this present administration, as a result of corruption, has deliberately refused to address. Those arms, what of the arms that are taken away from the barracks?
Yes.
What of the arms that are sold to those bandits by this same security agency? Why are they doing that? And their grievances have not been addressed. So it will continue until we are prepared to do the right thing. And that is why, for the citizen, the ordinary citizens, because all these people that are responsible for this insecurity, both our leaders in power and those that are collaborating with these bandits, they are not the immediate victim. It is the poor working class people and ordinary people, majorly, that are responsible, that are major target, that are major victims of this lapse in security. So therefore, for us to defend ourselves, I reiterate, there is a need for every community to form a defense committee that is non-sectarian, that is multi-ethnic, non-religious, and it has to be democratically managed. And if need be, they should arm themselves and begin to repel all these bandits and terrorists.
All right. So just before we get to repel them, now let us go back memory lane for a bit. And it's your choice to equally, say if this is true or false, if the chicken has come home to roost. Remember during Goodluck Jonathan's era, when we had the Chibok girls abduction, we had the very popular phrase, bring back our girls. Many years down the line, we learned that the opposition, which is the current APC, were those that most of the time allegedly, made all of those possible. We are beginning to hear and reveal that some of them were made possible as a result of the opposition. Even visiting the United States, the opposition went there to register their lack of faith in Goodluck Jonathan's era. Now, with the APC in power, is it okay to say that karma is real at this point? And how can we save this from not happening in the next administration and other administrations to come?
The point is this, sir. In Nigeria, political offices is very, very juicy. It's very, very lucrative. It comes with power and influence. Therefore, politicians, for their selfish self-interest, can do anything to get to power. So in that wise, this accusation of what happened during Jonathan's era is resurfaced. It's not just Jonathan's era. In the Punch paper this morning, it was reported that during the election period, it's becoming a norm that every election cycle, when election is approaching, adoption become rift. Adoption of school children and things like that become very, very rift. It become prevalent within the North. In some respect, there might be some truth in it. Politicians trying to settle scores among themselves. But in all this, as I said, it is with the ordinary people that suffers it. You can imagine the trauma the parents of those 25, students of government college, Dangu, would have been going through at this moment as a result of the failure of the government. Since the Chibok era, what has changed? That is the issue. Let's assume that Jonathan failed as at that time, which he did woefully. And don't forget, Buhari came into power on the crest of the insecurity within the North. Using the Chibok girl as a flagship to begin to campaign, using security to campaign to get to power. Even when Tinubu was coming, one of his campaign points was that he's going to solve the insecurity problem. Notwithstanding the fact that during Buhari era, he was one of the advisors. He's also a chieftain of the APC as at that time. But now, what has happened? Security has become heightened. I think that as the masses, as the working poor, there is a need for class solution. There is a need for class alternative. And that is why I mentioned earlier on that there is a need for political alternative. Sir, as long as this capitalist party, political party, who are in power for their selfish interests and not to meet the needs of the people, remains in power, the issue of insecurity, banditry, terrorism, it will remain with us. It will remain a recurring decimal until we are prepared as a people to organize ourselves. In fact, we should expect that by now, the NSC and the TUC should be calling out the Nigerian workers, the civil society, and the mass of the people to go on the street and begin to demand that this government solve this issue of insecurity once and for all, and that the trillions and trillions of naira that have been budgeted into, tackling security that have not been embezzled by this element, those money should be used appropriately. That is what we should expect, and we are using this medium to call on the NSC, to call on the TUC and the civil society to stop being complacent and begin to mobilize the mass of workers and the ordinary people for a protest. At least we should start with a 24-hour general strike to send a signal to this government that enough is enough on this insecurity problem, and that we can no longer take the adoption of our children from school any longer. I think it's important, very, very imperative at this very moment.
Oh, very imperative at this moment. But I'd love you to still speak to me. My last question, knowing that President Bola Tinubu has called himself master strategist, and in that strategy, it has always been divide and control. He appeases some people and appease other people, giving everybody what they want so everyone can remain numb and nobody can speak up. Now, a situation where you have cried and called out for the NLC and the TUC and civil society organizations to come out and send a message. How do you think it would even work when we are all divided amongst ourselves on ethnic divide, religious divide, and some other people standing on the mandate? The 10th National Assembly under Senate President Akpabio, they are all standing on the mandate. Taraba is about to defect to the APC in a couple of days to come. Other parties have all defected to the APC. How do you think it's even possible to have a united Nigeria where we can speak out? Yes.
When President Tinubu, or Mr. Tinubu as he then was, called himself a master strategist, what does he imply? Just as you have clearly stated, it implies master strategist in corruption. It implies master strategist in divide and rule. It implies master strategist in ethnic politics. As you know today now, Nigeria is more divided than it was 5-6 years ago, thanks to the strategist of the Lion of Bodilon, aka Mr. President, that is in power today now. In all this, how do we reinvent ourselves? I think that is where your question becomes apposite. It's no doubt that the bureaucratic element within the NSC have also become willy-nilly complicit in this issue as we are having it today. That is why the ordinary workers in their various factories, in their various offices, from the least worker, from the affiliate of the union, they should begin to hold congresses and begin to pass resolution to their union, to state, and from state to the NSC secretariat, that there is a need for NSC to embark on a protest, on a mass action to begin to address this issue. And that is the only way we can counter the divide and rule issue. As for the House of Rep, Akpabio and the likes of them, you can't expect them, to do otherwise. They are the main beneficiary of this rottenness. And as far as they are concerned, they would rather prefer that this rottenness, this decadence continue, even at the price of the blood of Nigerian people. They don't bother. It is we who are the direct victim. The ordinary people, the workers, it is we who should take our destiny into our hand. And we need to link that, as I said, to the political alternative by ensuring that we have a party of ordinary people, a party of farmers, of workers, with a socialist program involving nationalization of the commodity height of the economy, places saved under the democratic management and control of workers, with a view to liberating resources that have been correctly stolen by those elements, so that we can use it to begin to develop society. Until then, we are not going to run. There is no way we can run away from this vicious circle, like Baba's chair, if you continue to revolve around us.
Very so sad, Mr. Nicholas. I truly do, feel the pain and the pains of Nigerians, because these are very avoidable situations.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, I can't hear you very well, sir.
Yes, I say this is actually very sad and avoidable situation that we have, and the solutions are there for us, but unfortunately, we don't see that coming. If you take a look at the end of the Fourth Republic, Mr. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. I can hear
now,
you.
If historically, if you take a look at what ended the Fourth Republic and what ended the Second Republic, those two republics, most importantly, is as a result of issues like this, like we are having currently in the Fourth Republic. Now, how do you think we can keep away the military from incursion, even while our politicians deliberately are calling them to come in, even if that is not the wish of Nigerians?
Well, the truth of the matter is this: the military hierarchy, or the top echelon of the military, and their civilian counterparts, they are not different from each other. They all belong to the same capitalist ruling circle. Either of them that is in power, nothing is going to change. They are going to continue to implement these anti-poor capitalist policies, corruption at the detriment of the mass of majority of the people. You have just mentioned the First Republic, the Second Republic, how it ended. What lesson have our leaders learned? They will not learn anything. But as you know, those people who were actors, some of the actors of those, things that happened in the First and the Second Republic, are some of those actors not still in government today? Have they not still be profiting from the government? And that is why I have said there is a need for a class solution. There is a need for a class alternative. These people that are there don't represent the interests of workers and the poor people of Nigeria. And as long as they are there, it's going to be government of crisis. It's going to be government of banditry. It's going to be government of kidnapping. All in an effort to ensure that they perpetuate themselves in power. The onion lies on us to begin to organize ourselves with a view of wresting power from them and using that political party to implement programs and policies that meet the yearning and aspiration of the mass of the Nigerian people.
Very much. I wish we have more than enough time, to do some talking, but I would urge and equally, pray that you would grant us another time, because I would love us to, do some more talking on this very important, information and the news coverage that we have on. Thank you so very much, Mr. John Nicholas. We truly do appreciate your time. Yeah, thank you so very much. So that's just about the time we have, and that was Echo John Nicholas, National Coordinator, Food and Farmers' Rights Campaign, and also he is the coordinator, Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Right. That's who we have today, and I love to believe you enjoyed our conversation this morning, and he has promised us that he would be here next time, so we can continue on our discussion for today. That's just about the time we have. I'd love to say thank you for being here. Please do well to visit us to read up on everything we've talked about, and that is on enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally rewatch, download, and watch later. That's only when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early. God bless Nigeria. God bless you. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.